Make her welcome, Tishura Gibbs. We also have Dr. Andre Haughton. He's a son of Montego Bay, CLM, big up. He's a Cornwall College old boy, CC for life, big up. All right, and he's a senior lecturer at the University of the West Indies. He specializes in economics and finance, and he's a member of EPC, which is the, fine. What that again? Policy Committee, fine. PSOJ. So he's an advisor, he's an expert in the field of finance, and he also knows quite a bit about the cannabis industry. Make him welcome, Dr. Andre Haughton. All right, again, their conversation, their talk is to enlighten us on this particular industry. Some call it cannabis, some call it herb, some call it ganja, some call it weed. It has a whole heap of name. But the reality is, you can make high profits in the industry, or you can get high. Anyway you take it, it's just high across the board. So I now hand over to Doc and Tishura.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for having us today. It's very good that the business factory is pooling business owners across Montego Bay to come together as one in order to share ideas, and not just share ideas, but to strengthen each other in the process of business. Before we began, I was asking Tishura a question in private. I was asking her if she thinks that Jamaica will be able to meet her supply that she needs to match her demand. And what was the response?
No, I don't think Jamaica will be able to meet the supply of the demand, the global demand for cannabis from Jamaica. Jamaica has a brand name by itself. But I think in order for us to get to that place, we all have to understand that we all have a role to play. And what I've been seeing is a lot of fight and a lot of quarrel and this crab in a barrel mentality around it. And that's actually how Zima got started.
Yeah.
It was going to Cannabis last year, and everybody are quarrel about grow ganja, who for grow, who not grow, who's supposed to grow. And I thought, well, when we grow all of this ganja, what we're going to do with it? And then Ministry of Health did a presentation on registering finished products in Jamaica. And I just decided to rock the boat and start the process and bring products in with the intent to manufacture locally.
Yeah. Well, what we've seen, and it's important that you identified this, because I came back to Jamaica in 2011, and that year, October, we had the first Innocent Plant Guilty Drug Symposium on the UWI campus. And the main aim of that particular symposium was to highlight and expose Jamaica to the global business of cannabis, one, but two, to illustrate how various regions, various states, various countries have employed the cannabis industry to bear profit, not just for businesses, but also increase tax revenues for the government. And there are countries, for example, Iceland, who were able to use medicinal cannabis as an industry to not only revitalize drowning communities, but also to repay debts and so on and so forth, which is why Zima now and the work that they're doing is very important. But we need to bridge the gap between the products that we offer and local production. Because if we look at our import bill, now our current account deficit, while it was shrinking, now it's expanding because the exchange rate has been depreciating over the last few months. From our point of view, a lot of people complain to me, Andre, we can't get the license from the CLA. I own my own land, I have the money to buy the license, we can't get the license from the CLA. So there are a lot of nuances as it relates to production that I know is really slowing up your business in terms of how you would want to incorporate local production and productivity into it. But how has it been for you thus far in terms of getting local farmers to understand that your company will demand X amount of cannabis in the future, and as a result, we can work with you? How has it been for you?
Right, so I'll go back to Cannabis Jamaica, and we made sure we paid for 250 farmers from the different associations to attend Cannabis. And on top of that, what we did was to put on a workshop on Saturday morning, one for doctors, and one for farmers to teach them cultivation, because as much as you might have been growing ganja for how many years, how many decades, that does not mean you know how to grow ganja for medicinal purposes. And when you're doing cannabis for medicine, it has to be done a particular way. Efficacy, safety, consistency. It has to be there every batch, every time. And so we wanted to make sure we're exposing those farmers so they are able to do it at global standards that we require. But, you know, a formulation isn't just cooking up something in the kitchen and putting it in a bottle and putting out there, you know this, Doc. And so what we did was to identify formulations, global formulations, that they already spent millions of dollars, thousands of man hours in to make sure they brought it to perfection. And those were the same formulations we've brought to Jamaica. And one thing I must tell you that I pride myself and my team on, every single contract that we signed, we made sure we had the right to manufacture under license in Jamaica. Excellent. We don't plan to grow ganja. You know, there's a great value chain system, and there's a role for everybody to play. And we plan to buy from the farmers, but they have to grow the right strains, at the right specifications. And so I'm happy to say that our local partner for the initial grow already has their license. They are growing, and we are seeing local manufacturing.
Excellent. So you heard that, guys. What we've seen is that because of the nature of cannabis as a plant, ganja, marijuana, as a lot of people might know it, it has been very difficult for the government to find a balance between legislation, regulation, production, and output. Now, from Jamaica's point of view, the UN has estimated that currently illegally 37,000 acres, 15,000 hectares, so over 37,000 acres of land are being used to cultivate illegal cannabis. When I do my estimates and I look at, say, for example, 37,000 acres, you can get an average 3 crop cycles per year. So some people get more, some people get less, depending on how you tend their farms. So that's 3 crop cycles per year, on average 5,000 pounds per acre per crop cycle, and it gives us an estimated value of 11.1 billion US dollars. That's like 75% of Jamaica GDP. And that's just the domestic output. That doesn't include forward and backward linkages. And forward and backward linkages, every business, every industry is characterized by linkages. Backward linkages comes from where the inputs from your product is coming from, and forward linkages look at your product as being an input or as a final consumer product going forward after it is being produced. And if we use a regular multiplier of, say, 3, because normally the basic multiplier is 4. If we're looking at a 20% savings rate across consumers, a basic multiplier is 4. So if I multiply that by 4, then putting in linkages, the domestic illegal industry at this point in time is valued close to 40 billion US dollars. And now the global medical marijuana industry is valued at 50 billion. And it's growing. It's growing by the minute. Because why? More and more investments are being pumped into financial markets across the world. And what we want to see, we want to create that platform among us, everyone, for us to absorb that sort of investment. And also, we would like if you could help us and help the businesses understand the business of cannabis and understand how best now they can go about leveraging that investment so that they can help to maintain the standards. Because Canada legalized when it was last week, and now Canada run out of ganja.
Day 2.
You see me? Same day. Yeah. So the standards that we're going to require to enter those markets, it's like producing any other good. It's like we are produce tomato, or we are produce sweet pepper, or we are produce ginger. It must meet certain standards. It must can store for X amount of time. It must have no pesticide, you know. So from your business point of view, how do you see the domestic economy integrating into what Zima and what other medicinal cannabis companies are?
Right, and I'll just go back to, how Zimmer came about and what we did, because I know a lot of people said, you're not supposed to be doing it. You don't know nothing about ganja. But the truth is, I never know nothing about light when I went to JPS side, and I think I left there successful. But what we did after I left JPS and while gearing up for Zimmer, I traveled a lot. I went to other countries that had either legalized or on the verge of legalizing to understand what was happening there. And one of my first stops was Bogota, Colombia. Okay. And we went to the University of Bogota to understand what they were doing. And what they were doing was actually testing to see the tolerable levels of pesticides that can be in medicinal products from cannabis. Okay. And one of the big questions that came up was, are we teaching the endocannabinoid system in med school? Because we're not. We're not, and it's something that we have to do. We can't talk about a viable medicinal cannabis industry, and we're not teaching our doctors.
The system that's neglected.
The system.
So, your digestive system, your reproductive system, you weren't taught about the endocannabinoid system, and that's the nature.
Right, so Colombia said that they were going to start in the next year. Jamaica, I'm not hearing any talks here. But as we look at Jamaica's industry from my viewpoint, and I've only been in the business for 9 months, is that there's a massive industry with massive parts of it. You don't have to be growing ganja or manufacturing. I mean, for me, who's going to be getting my manufacturing done here, we're going to need bottles. We're going to need labels. We're going to need advertising. We're going to need marketing. We're going to need PR. We're going to need people to build our websites. So it's what area are you competent in and what area are you passionate about? And how do you leverage that to support the growing economy? Now, I spoke several years ago in Westmoreland, and they were talking about how a lot of the vegetables for the hotels, are being imported. And it comes down to one simple word, Doc, and it's greed. A lot of us are so greedy that I think if you get some, it'll go thief some of mine, when it is not the case. So the farmer wants to be the reaper, he wants to be the cleaner, the packer, the deliverer, and the pack outer when him get to the hotel. And that can't work. Everybody must own their part of the value chain system. So if we pull together, we're able to do more, and that's what we have to do. And even as I listened to some of the farmers, I remember at Cannabis, when I was talking to a group of farmers, maybe 5 of them, about coming to the cultivation session we had on Saturday morning. One of the farmers in the group of 5 said to me, it take money for come, and I have no money. I said, but it is free. And him say, well, I have to go pay for come from Ochi to Mobe. And I was a little bit disappointed because we have to be interested in our own development as well. But just going back to Doc's question, I believe the only way for us to have a viable, successful industry is for us to collaborate and work together. I think the CLA is doing their thing. I think the Ministry of Health is doing their thing. I think they need to work together more. I think there has to be greater collaboration there. I think education is the key as well. A lot of the doctors are not educated in the products. A lot of the end users are not sure the products can help them, and it comes down to education as well. I do believe, though, that Jamaica has a great opportunity. Brand Jamaica is known globally. People want Brand Jamaica. A lot of people are saying, the boat missed us, the boat has not missed us.
Yeah, the boat not missed us.
Exactly.
The medicinal industry as it is now, even though our traditional industry is well mature, and in terms of not just production, but in terms of packaging, in terms of global logistics, and it has been able to beat a lot of security systems in how we move goods and so on across borders. But now, when we look at transitioning the traditional cannabis economy to the newly emerging medical, and hopefully soon we can follow Canada and delve into the recreational, because that is what we are really known for. The medicinal is just something new that we are trying to assimilate. But in terms of how best would you advise cannabis entrepreneurs to better package their particular skill or their particular business or their particular approach to solicit foreign investment to help to expand?
Build the right relationship. So you might be the smartest economist in the house, and I might be the smartest sales and marketer in the house. Let's work together. Let's work together. Build the right relationship. Collaborate with the right people. When Zimmer came about, I knew Douglas Gordon had to be the chairman of the board because he had already established so many relationships across borders through Cannabis that I knew that he was able to take Zimmer places. And so we were able to get the right website, get the right people on the team. So there's nobody else that look like Tishura or enough like Tishura. Everybody is, unique. Shelley is the most amazing pharmacist I could have on my team. Yeah. My salespeople are all dynamic and diverse and different because you want to make sure you're bringing people with the right skill sets to the table. And so, talking about investment, you mustn't take every investment that come your way either because not everyone is good for you. Yeah. We had some guys come from New York who wanted to buy Zima a few months ago. And while we needed the money because we were rolling out and we were going into different markets and adding new products, we realized that they were not the right relationship because I don't believe the heart was in the right place. Yeah. And, a few weeks after that, we got the right relationship through Global Canal Labs here in Jamaica and their parent company, LGC Capital.
Excellent.
And what they have done for us is they have now introduced us to their partners in Africa, in Europe, and in Central America, so we can start looking at export opportunities to these markets. So partner with the right people, know what your strengths are, know what your skill sets are, and find people who complement your skill set. So you're doing something great together. It's not just you alone in a box trying to figure it out. And research. Google knows a lot of things. And just know which part of Google to believe. But go and read and go and research. Go and read and go and research. A lot of you don't know about the endocannabinoid system. You don't know about the health benefits of CBD. And it's important if you're thinking of going into it, just read and research. And even if it's one of the added sectors to the industry, maybe real estate, because, we're seeing a lot going on in real estate, accounting and legal, because all of those are sectors that are supporting cannabis. It's also important that you know about cannabis if you're in cannabis. So if you're designing a label for one of my products, I'm able to look at it and see how my product is presented through what you have on that graphic there. So read, research, and just form great partnerships so you can make yourself marketable globally.
Yeah, man, excellent. And for you young business entrepreneurs, the first thing I learned when I went to England was that if you're soliciting investment, it's not about the money because every investor has money. That's what they are, they're investors. It's about the support services that they will provide to you for your products. It's about the inclination that they have for business development and the inclination for business expansion because, mind it, we're going to business because we like the business. And sometimes there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and being the managing director or managing operator of an enterprise. Because as we normally say, the entrepreneur has the idea. Entrepreneur has the wit and the savviness to get the idea off the ground, but in terms of maintaining the idea and oftentimes, because as entrepreneurs, a lot of us, as you quite rightly said, we want to play all the legs in the business. So it's like we're playing football and then I want to be the forward, the midfielder, the defense, the coach, the goalkeeper. So we have to understand the chain of command and the span of control across businesses. And if and when we do so and we solicit the sort of help that she highlighted, then we will be in a better position. I mean, I'm the managing director of a scarce commodity. We got involved in the cannabis business in a very similar way to how Tishura got involved. I went to the Stepping Eye Ganja Festival in 2014. And I noticed that a lot of the products, even though they contained cannabis, they weren't packaged and labeled properly. In 2015, we went and we saw the same thing. I'm like, how comes these people are making products, the products having ganja, some gear high, some not gear high, but you can't differentiate unless they tell you. What about the people who are buying presents for someone? What about the people who are taking them home? You're not going to remember nothing about it. So at that point in time, we took it up on ourselves to start gathering information about not just the products themselves, but information about how people have really decided to enter the industry and their perception of the industry. That year, we started handed out surveys. So we handed out surveys, Jamaica should be legal or illegal, whatever the case may be, or you find the market, the product, your license, you can afford this, how much you can pay, just all different types of information. But what we did the following year was to team up with the Ganja Growers and Producers Association of Jamaica and host the Scarce Festival that we invited them there to trap them in one platform, to let them know that, guys, look, the global business is coming. And with the global business will come global standards. Now, I know in Jamaica, we like to take a haphazard approach to everything. You know, Jamaica, we laid back. So, a man, we run a restaurant in the same time, I cook him, I bun a spliff him, I do this, I drink a beer, I do something. But in the global marketplace, there are health and safety standards, there are this type of standards, there are, you understand what I mean? Enough liquor type of thing that, as Jamaicans, we are not familiar with. So, to cut along, we end up overlooking it, which we cannot. So we started at that time providing these coaching for the businesses, and the coaching that we provide really helped them, because this year when we had the Scarce Festival, we had more products, and the products this year, they can compete with any product abroad. Why? Because we got the phytochemical testing done for the products. We have them stabilize their products. We have them also make sure that the packaging and the... We have a literally general, take up a kiss cake as an example, and say, look upon a kiss cake. The kiss cake not having no weed, but the kiss cake properly labeled. Wine and cake, flour, this, that, how much gram of fat, how much this or that, how much calorie or that, how much... I mean, I say, this not having no weed, so it's not illegal. The man could just make a kiss cake and sell it, you know. But look upon your product now as a weed product. Your product not only need everything that is on the kiss cake as an example, but it needs also what chemical components from the cannabis is in the particular product. And from that, because believe it or not, Jamaica has a very vibrant cannabis industry, if I should say it that way. Not just rubbings and footings and liquor and wine and edibles for kill, man. Edibles, we have about 30 different people, companies producing edibles differently from the flowers that are grown and so on. So, the point I'm making is that over time, the law must catch up to what the industry is doing, and the law will catch up. But in the meantime, we have to make sure that whatever we are producing here locally, if it is the case that the law does catch up with it, we are ready to meet the global standards.
Absolutely. I agree with you, and I think more than anything else, that compliance is the key. If we're going to have a viable medicinal cannabis or a cannabis industry, we must be fully compliant, and legislation is in place. You know, for what I do, it's under the Ministry of Health. And so we make sure that we are compliant with every single thing that they ask us to do and be, because if we are not, you know, and something negative came out on Zimmer, it's not just impacting Zimmer, it's impacting the entire industry, and that's something that we don't want. So we make sure we're compliant. So our license say you're a distribution pharmacy, you can't retail. So I know a lady came over and she wanted to buy the hemp prana, but she can't buy it because we're not going to sell it to her, but we're going to tell her, make her doctor write her the prescription and go to Fontana or Clinic here or one of the other pharmacies and buy it because it's there. So, you know, compliance is key to making sure the industry is viable.
Yeah, man, it's important. And she's operating from a medicinal point of view. I'm operating from a Jamaican point of view. So you're getting the perfect balance here in terms of what is happening. But we have to face it. I mean, the domestic market is viable, and it has been in existence from ever since. It is the reason why we have so many investors coming here as Jamaicans to join Jamaicans, I must say, to expand businesses. We do a lot of research. I mean, we do data analysis, all different type of research for the industry. And our latest research has indicated to us that if we specialize in growing sativa plants, then we can yield maximum yield. We ran an experiment with over 300 plants, and we looked at 100 sativa, 100 indica, all the same strains, and 100 hybrids. Now, the two main, apart from hemp, we have sativa and indica plants. We have ruderalis, but that we don't really focus on that. The sativa and indica. Sativa, the chemical components are a bit different from the indica plant. The sativa plant normally grows for 9 months, the indica plant for 3 months, and the total maturity of the plant life. But given where we are in the tropics, the indica plants that we have grow about this high, the hybrid about this high, and the sativa plants about this high. The yield when we look at the indica and the hybrid, I think the yield was about 2.5 ounces per plant from the indica and the hybrid, and it was about 4 or 5 ounces from the sativa. So Jamaica does have some sort of a comparative advantage within itself in the production of what it is good at. So what our research basically does is that it helps to point farmers into the direction that they should go if they wish to increase the earnings and revenues that they yield from your production process. You know, and this is going to be good for you as well, because I know you specialize in CBD. CBD is just one chemical component of the hemp plant. And there's other parts of the plant also contain medicinal use as well. And if and when production starts in Jamaica, you will have to make a decision as to what your labs will specialize in.
Well, I will say, Doctor, we have 50 products approved by the Ministry of Health.
Okay.
What we have on the market today are only those with hemp-based CBD. So we
Okay,
do have
straight
THC
hemp.
approved. We do have THC approved product already approved on the market.
Excellent,
So
excellent.
we're you know, it's a strategic plan how we
yeah.
roll out. There are
Inspire-
banking implications, and we want to make sure that we're able to roll out at a particular way. Our focus market is not going to be Jamaica globally. We are going to be looking at manufacturing locally for export. At Canix, we had representatives from Zambia and from South Africa coming to understand the legislation here as they create legislation there. South Africa recently decriminalized, and they're looking at medicinal legalization. Zambia is also looking at their legislation. Mexico is going to be legal very soon. And so, we're on top of where the numbers are, because the truth is, what's the population of Jamaica compared to the global population? And when you look at where the numbers are, that's where the earnings start to go up. And it's not just the earnings, but when you're doing it for the right reasons, because the feedback we've been getting from the users of our products, and not just our products, but other products that are on the market, has been absolutely phenomenal. And it's important that those medicines get into the hands of the people who need them for health benefits. And, and coming on that is that the financial gains and the economic gains for our country, is going to be phenomenal. We're going to get to that place where we're going to have to teach from your baby's financial management, because we're going to have so much disposable income that we're going to need to learn what to do with it.
And it's going to be very important. I mean, currently in Jamaica, our main staples for export are sugar, coffee, banana, in terms of revenue earnings. What we've seen is not only in Jamaica, but across the Caribbean, banana earnings, or the earnings from banana exports, have been trending downwards. Earnings from sugar is on what we call a soft budget constraint. So let me explain to you what a soft budget constraint is. Whenever a particular industry is the key livelihood of a particular community, for example, in Frome, the Frome Sugar Factory played an essential role in terms of providing income, or providing a way of living for the village. Then the government, even though that particular factory might have not been profitable, the government had to sort of subsidize its operations. And that is hurting us in two ways. One, people are doing something that they are not really being compensated properly for, so they are not so motivated to participate in the production process. And two, because we have such a, I call this now, our fiscal space in the budget is so meager because of the high debt that we once had, even though it's still high, but it's coming down. So the amount of money left from the government's budget after it repays its debt, it's so meager that if we are to look at taking from the budget to subsidize industries, that is which we have been doing. It is damaging the infrastructure of the company, of the country, because we have to make an opportunity cost between how the government spends its precious dollars. So these communities that were once growing bananas, these communities that were once growing sugar, are benefited from these industries. We have to now look at how best we can replace that with a product that is more valuable, a product that can fetch a higher price. And this is where cannabis will come into play. Now, we speak much of foreign direct investment, but there are ways for you indigenously to pool your resources together in a sort of partnership type of agreement so that you too can be able to expand in the industry. So I might not have the 100,000 US dollars today to start the process, but I might have 10, he might have 5, him have 5, him have 6, she have 8, and so on. And when capital is pooled together, as we know as Jamaicans, because enough of if we not join partner, our parents join partner, so enough of we benefit from partner. So when capital is pooled together, it has tremendous working power. Tremendous working power. So where do you see Zima going, and where do you see the local economy going?
So I do believe that there's huge potential for the local economy. I believe that if we make the farmers more inclusive and put a program together where they're able to farm on their own space, but we're able to collectively purchase, yes, and that from them, that there's huge opportunity for them to benefit, and there is no viable sector without the farmers, and it's important that we incorporate those who've been in it. So I see Jamaica doing very well. I'm seeing us trailing in the end. I know we're leading right now simply because we are leading in the Caribbean. We are the more advanced, the most advanced in the Caribbean when it comes to medicinal cannabis or cannabis in general. But we're waiting for the US federal government to change their laws for us to react. And so when the laws of the US change, everybody going to be responding at the same time. And so if we don't make sure that we're well positioned right now, we are going to be behind in the long run. And I know I've spoken to prime ministers of 2 other countries and ministers, I felt, of several. And there's actually one other country in the Caribbean who I would not be surprised if them way advance Jamaica in a couple of years, because they're not really focused on what America is doing. They're focused on what's best for their country. And there's another minister that I spoke to just last week who is actually looking at recreational for the Caribbean. He hasn't confirmed, but he's looking at it. For Zima, where I see Zima going, I see Zima being a global player in the medicinal cannabis industry with real medicinal products, not just cosmetics, not just 1 and 2 products, but I see us doing clinical studies and clinical trials. Maybe here in Jamaica, I know there's actually 1 product on the clinical trial right now. So I see us playing a key role, and I see us being a market leader globally in the medicinal cannabis.
Which you already are. I mean, the world believes that Jamaica is trailing. I don't. I think that we are well advanced in terms of not just recreation, but in terms of medicine. If you come to the Scarce Festival, it's hosted April 20 every year at Hope Gardens in Kingston. And last year we had more than 35 displants with about 5 products each from each displayant. And you see, tradition, there is no replacement for tradition. And even though a lot of the products might have not been standardized because your grandmother never knew about a phytochemical testing, she never knew about the machine, but she was able to mix ganja with rum and pimento, and she used it, rub her knee, and the pain gone. I too have been able to do so, and I too have benefited from homemade cannabis remedies. So, and the research is there, So it is just for us now to incorporate these standards and these clinical trials in what we've been doing traditionally. And if we are able to do so, then I think that Jamaica, as an economy, and the industries that emanate from here, have tremendous global potential. Now, the research we do, we have a paper establishing the Caribbean cannabis economy, lessons from the regulatory framework in Jamaica. You can search it on Google. It was published in Drug and Alcohol Policy Today. And in that paper, the results that emanated indicated that if Jamaica is supposed to benefit, then there must be some established linkage between us and the other Caribbean islands, because if we go legal and the others are illegal, then it has ramifications for intra-regional trade. Currently, intra-regional trade, which is trade between Jamaica and the other Caribbean islands, is about 3.7% of GDP. In other trading blocks, for example, the EU, intra-regional trade, which means trade between the countries, is over 40%. Why? Because different countries specialize in producing different goods. So Germany, for example, might be the makers of cars, while England, for example, might be the makers of containers. You know, so they distribute how things are manufactured and how goods are produced. Now, what we saw is that because Guyana, so large, so much swampland, and so on and so forth, with a wealth of experience in cooperatives and the production of rice and then Guyana would be more suitable to grow the hemp, while Jamaica, with our wealth of experience in cannabis growing and ganja growing, would be more suitable to grow certain types of ganja. For example, the sativa plant, as I outlined before. So different Caribbean countries have their different advantages. Different Caribbean countries, therefore, must be integrated into our future plan if we wish, therefore, to not only increase domestic production, but to increase intra-regional trade. Because what we've realized is that even though we can trade freely with larger partners, whenever we can trade amongst ourselves, it improves our understanding of each other and improves as well our collective standard of living. It improves our...
I'm happy you raised that point, because when we were looking for that formulation to bring to market, we actually looked to Europe first, because what we knew is that if it was approved in one section of the EU, then it would be good for everywhere. So if we could bring those formulations here and put the Jamaican inputs in them and re-export, obviously getting those new approvals because additional inputs have gone in, but it would have been an easier process. Then we'd be able to export to all of Europe, not just one country. And so the Caribbean, we do need to catch up through the single market economy. We need to make sure we're supporting each other. I also believe as you go back to products, and you mentioned the 30-odd products that were on display, we also must use the Scientific Research Council and let them help us. They're there to support and let them help us as we bring our formulations to market, because the truth is, if we're just targeting Jamaica, then you're just doing it because it's your hobby.
Yeah, it's a recreation
thing. If you're looking at it for business, and if you're looking at it to grow well, then you have to look at it globally. And so use the Scientific Research Council. They're there to support, and they do have, I think I saw recently where they now have online programs that we can participate in. So it's important that we educate ourselves in those areas.
It's necessary. I mean, we don't want to be here talking without any input from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not used to me by now. You spoke about forward linkages.
Yes.
I'm in transportation services. The persons I serve are visitors from foreign.
Yes.
And when them come into the vehicle, them ask me driver for the things.
Okay, them ask about it.
Them ask me, sir. Them ask me. I have ready
we go put
customers.
A big scarce commodity sign for your bus, man. Sold and very sold, man. That means the friend them see it, them know say it in them, man.
Seriously,
you know,
no.
But listen.
I didn't finish. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
We have so equipped as part of our desire to deliver luxury transportation experience. Most of our vehicles have screens in them. On these screens, we can use to advertise anything that is available for sale in Jamaica.
Okay.
Forward linkages?
Forward linkages, man. That's a lateral linkage.
Yeah, that's excellent. And a lot of times, we're not looking at doing business differently in order to attract the right customer base. And there's also an opportunity for you in cannabis, because there are no farms that you can offer farm tours at. And, we also have the shop that's open on Buttermore. I understand a second one is coming very soon. So there are even expanded opportunities in the cannabis industry for you. My business cards should be here.
Another question over here.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
There is this perception that the farmer, the grower, will be shortchanged by the export or manufacturer in your case. Is there something that you can say to...
Yes, the farmer is an integral part. There is no product made in Jamaica without the local farmers. So the farmers have an integral role to play. They are who will have to be purchasing the inputs for manufacturing locally.
Brother, as it stands now, the farmers, them, they're way behind. You know why?
Not.
The legislative process does not allow the farmer to farm in his traditional state. The farmer will require land title or land permission. The farmer will require to pay for him license up front. The farmer will be required to get I'm sure we get some quotation for some greenhouse. I get a greenhouse, one cost up to, like the cheapest we've seen for 1,000 square foot, something like 800,000 Jamaican dollars. And that are just the greenhouse. That include irrigation, what you call that now, humidity and etc. etc. I have a colleague who speak on the farming thing. If you don't want to talk to him, we can arrange that. But no more than ever, the country will have to realize that we have to value what we have, and we have to start thinking about how now we can get some sort of vigilante permits along with education for these farmers, because we import a lot from China. None of us, we've never been to a field in China to see how them ever grow the weed. I like, you ever see them?
No.
You never go down there. Tomorrow while some Chinese people, they now see them. We go down to China and the man them pit up in a whole place, then feel like them, they say me, I have nothing against them, because we love them, because they're efficient. But because I say that to say, a lot of the times that when we are imposing too much restrictions on ourselves without an understanding of the restriction that people put on themselves. So the ramifications surrounding the legislation will have to change, and that is what we have been pressing for, because we have to make sure that going forward, not everyone, even though for medicinal purposes, it's going to be very difficult. Very, very difficult to farm outdoor in the current state to service the medical cannabis industry.
If I could just add, there's another island that I visited, and I had the opportunity to look at the proposed legislation there. And one of the things they're doing is grandfathering in those illegal farmers.
All right.
They're grandfathering them in because it's important. They were doing it for so long, and they are now having an opportunity to do it the right way. And there's also going to be funds available to them to make sure they're able to do it for global standards. I also heard Minister Shaw speak at Cannabis, where he said funds from dormant bank accounts are going to be made available to farmers. And Doc laughed, but it's not me say so.
People love politics.
It's not me say so, it's the minister say so. So I do believe that the government must put something in place to support these farmers, even if it means upfronting the money for the build out, and after the first, second, third crop, then pay back. So the government must step in and save the farmers who have been farming for so long.
As it relates to approved products, is this public knowledge or?
It's online. It's online. If you go to the Ministry of Health website, you'll see how products are approved, and it's a very strict, strenuous process. Yeah, but if you stick to it.
Yeah, for us on campus, what we do, the clinic, it starts with preparing the product, and then after the product is stabilized, so you go to the Bureau of Standards and what name again? FSC. What name? FSC?
I don't
know. I know if FSC are financial. What name?
No. It's not Bureau of Standards.
Bureau of Standards and the next one, man. I have one SRC.
Scientific Research Council. That's what you said before.
Yeah, SRC. So they will help you stabilize the product. After the product is stabilized, then from our point of view, we have to take it to what we call on the campus the ethics committee. So the ethics committee look at the product, look at what we propose to do with the product, and then give us the go-ahead to start the clinical trials. After the clinical trials, they don't have a set time for clinical trials. It's just after you can get enough information for certain, say your product do this or do that. After you're certain, say your products do this or do that, then now you can get your products approved, and then your product touch market.
Right, and just to add to that, for the approval processes, you have to make sure that the bottles that they're going in, that they sit in them for a particular period and test them again to make sure no dye not seeping into the product. So it's a lengthy process, but it is in the long run what is necessary.
For persons like me who are lazy and don't like to do research, a lot of persons, and I have capital. And I want to invest. Let's say I want to make some brownies. And
Edibles
is there an
ban,
approved list?
Edibles ban, General.
Is there an approved?
Edibles ban. Edibles ban. All
Yeah.
edibles ban.
All edibles are
Yeah,
banned.
so the edibles industry that is now here on books is illegal, even though it's a vibrant industry. You see me? But it banned on the books, you know. So you can't, but it's a vibrant
no
industry.
approved edibles in Jamaica.
So you're saying there isn't an approved list that I can just pick an item?
Now I can link,
and
man, and I can give edibles people who are
No,
making
edibles,
edibles
no,
and
I mean,
package good.
any
Any
other
product,
thing
man.
that
Yo,
maybe
pa,
we coulda-
any product, man.
put some money in and get some returns.
From Negril Point to St. Amos, people make products, all sort of products, all sort. And I tell you, probably them now go and team up with you, because them not like investors. And that me like with the domestic producers them. It's when investors come with them big bag of money talk, they just turn them back good.
Another question over here.
No, we know the term 9-day wonder. And based on your presentation today, I'm getting the understanding that what you're hoping that Jamaicans will look towards is inclusiveness with our local persons here and across the Caribbean in extension. Now, with how things are, where on a daily basis you see the uncorruptible becoming so corrupt, based on your concept of what we're hoping to see the ganja industry going towards, how convincing are you that we are going to be able to compete against, other countries that are going to want to come in? They're seeing what you're doing. They're going to want to capitalize on that. They're going to want to knock people out of the market. How convincing it is looking to you at this point in time that you're going to be able to hold your own, that others that are here and in extension who would want to go into this are likely to make it?
Excellent question. The legislation is written as such that the cannabis industry is for Jamaicans, and at least 51% of any cannabis company must be owned by a Jamaican. So no matter how much money you're coming,
Yeah, man. So, I mean,
I have to give it to the CLA for that. No matter how much money you come with, a Jamaican will always have the majority of the company and the majority say in that company. Yeah. So I'm convinced that if we want to, if we have the political will, we can make this industry in Jamaica want to be reckoned with globally. Brand Jamaica is known globally. People want to be associated with Brand Jamaica. People want products made in Jamaica. Even if it don't have ganja in there, because I've been asked those questions, have nothing from Jamaica, no sauce, it's nothing. So the opportunity is there, and we just, as a country, as a government, must have the political will, and then as a people, we must know what part we want to play in that sector, and do that and move forward with it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, soon, not fret, man.
I think we will, but
Soon, man, let's make sure soon to register for vote.
Because even in the tourism sector, I remember gone are the days when in transportation, you had to have separate transportation companies. A hotel could not say, oh, we can transport our own clients. They had to use one of the designated transportation. Now, everybody is transporting. So Nadine over here, who is offering transportation, is up against the big dogs. What's going to happen? I mean, every sector that you believe that, okay, we have some standards in place, we have structures, we have legislation, all of a sudden, somebody's sneaking around the back, and politicians and whoever.
Well, I'm not going to say something because maybe I'm one of those people who sneaking around the back, but that's how we disrupt sectors and that's how we disrupt economies. And we have to be disruptive in how we do business. So the big players in the market must maintain their standards, and the little man who coming in must be at such high standards that they are going to disrupt what's taking place. And you know what? We're an evolving economy, and we are going to have disruption. And it's how do we change when things are changing. I don't think that Zima is going to stay here and play dead. When everybody was talking about ganja and growing, I said, all right, you know what? Make we do something.
You see,
Like we do something, and we do something, man, we get in a trouble, and we take we beating, and we get it right, and we will, and we come again. And that's just how we have to think. If we're going to be innovative and creative, we have to be disruptive in how we do business.
yeah, man. You see, the global marketplace, and this is not just for cannabis. This is for everything. The world in economics, we have something that we call the market mechanism and the invisible hand. Those of us who study what we call the classical paradigm believe less in government intervention. So there are some economists who don't believe that government should intervene.
No.
Now, what this means, it means that competition will determine efficiency. And as long as you're operating on what we call an open economy trades with the rest of the world, then you're going to be susceptible to that sort of predatory type of competition. Now, where do you see yourself in that mix? You have to create that particular niche with something that we call a monopolistic competition, meaning that even though you are in a competitive market, you still have a monopoly over the type of goods that you are making. For example, people make tables and chairs all the time, but you have some people are making it from wicker, some are making it from plastic, some from fiberglass, some from real glass, some in an oblong shape, some in a circle, some in a diamond, some are make it stool shape, some are make it like chariot. So the diversification that is going to be required and the niche that you are going to develop for yourself must be robust enough to compete not just on a local level but in the global marketplace. Otherwise, you'll become extinct. It's like you're making big back TV and you're saying that because flat screen and HD and whatever, you're a big back TV if you sell in the market, two people now going to look upon it.
Yeah.
So if you feel like that is the way you're going to approach, business is evolving and we all have to evolve. And as producers of goods and services, we also have to evolve.
Right, and just to add to that, the World Wide Web is a space that we need to play in. At Zimmer, we are communicating to people in Hebrew and German and Spanish and Italian, and it's not because we speak those languages, it's because Google Translate does, and it actually works, and we write them in English, and we copy and paste, and we communicate in those languages, and as you market yourselves, as we go into new industries, and as the ministers announce that they're signing bilateral flight agreements now with France or whatever other countries, we know putting our website in French, are we translating it to French and making sure that we're pushing it in their domains so that when people are searching for Jamaica and hotel in Jamaica and transportation in Jamaica or business comes at the top in their language so they know that we can relate to them and them to us when they get here. So we just have to maintain our competitive edge as we evolve.
Yeah, necessary. It's very necessary.
Just a comment, if I may. We were just talking about niche marketing. My sister here mentioned about transportation and the fact that I'm up against
yeah, man, that's a niche right there, man. That's a niche right there.
And that one of the things I was sharing with him is that I stay in my own lane. My niche is the luxury traveler. And who, as a luxury traveler, he has a certain profile. And then I market to that profile. And we didn't want, when my husband, I have to give him credit, Morel Powell, wherever you are, if you see this, when he came up with the idea of us starting our own transportation business, I was in corporate. And I was like, not wanting to move from the comfort of that into something that, boy, I mean, I run one bus up and down and the big people work and them thing there. But we decided to pool our collective experience together. I've been in hospitality for years. He's been in transportation for years. We formed Jamaica Exquisite Transfers and Tours. Do you understand? And we set up, we have a web presence. We have, we had it registered. We go to training. I'm here today, as principals of the company. Recently, somebody, a well-established tour operator based in the UK, with offices in other parts of Europe and in South Africa, contacted me while I was on vacation in Florida. Gone to our website, liked what he saw, liked the reviews, and asked if I'd be interested in partnering with them to be their local provider. Now, granted, them go ask me for me business registration, proof of insurance, my liability, and so on, which I can deliver. You have to Set yourself is not a potty shop, not even potty shop, I run like potty shop. Set
Regularize.
yourself, operate like a business, and business will attract business. You will partner with the right business to business operation, and you don't have to do everything.
So true. So true.
Any other questions? Going once, going twice? Done. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you. Appreciate much. Really appreciate. Thank you.